Take it back, there is something more vile.
Yeah, well, we all need a bit of love and affection, don't we? You should try it sometime, Trace.
What, with Steve? Been there, done that, left incredibly underwhelmed.
Brilliant.
How long has it been? Quite the dry spell, eh? Still, I suspect you got your nice snuggly pillow and your old posters of Bros to keep you going.
Give me that toast.
No!
I'm going to shove it so far down her throat that she's going to be sneezing soldiers.
Kinky.
Talk of the street.
Talk of the street.
The talk of the street.
Talk of the street.
The talk of the street.
Talk of the street.
The talk of the street.
Talk of the street.
Hello and welcome to episode 397 of the Talk of the Street, an unofficial Coronation Street catch-up podcast that was impressed by how much literal shit was on the screen this week, and I invite you to finish that joke for yourself. I'm Gavin.
And I am pleased to report that at least one of our children has had no challenges in their lives to speak of.
Huh?
Stelly in the car just a little while ago was talking about a scholarship she's applying for where she has to write an essay about a challenge that she's had to deal with in her life, and she's complaining that she's had no challenges in her life.
We should definitely give her something to complain about then.
I think she eventually decided about about raising money for this European trip. But I was like, you sold Girl Scout cookies in sub-zero weather. That was challenging. And then I said, hey, what about lockdown? And she's like, yeah, imagine how many thousands of kids are going to be writing about lockdown
This is true.
for their college essays. So,
And the Girl Scout thing was basically sit in a car, be driven somewhere, and then sell cookies and be cold.
very cold. And have people like yell at you that they're on a diet or that Girl Scouts support Planned Parenthood, so they're not buying any cookies. So go fuck yourself, kids.
Nobody said go fuck yourself.
No. They did with their eyeballs.
Not even in the Midwest does that happen. People in the Midwest are generally quite delightful.
Yes, to your face.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. It was quite a week. I had went and visited a college with Stella on Monday, and then had some Thai food, which was perhaps a smidge too spicy for my tummy to handle. So I was in bed all day on Tuesday, recovering from peanut curry.
Did we talk about this already?
No, because it happened this week.
We've definitely talked about this. I've edited something like this week.
Did we talk about it on List of Lists?
Oh, we did the classics. You
Oh,
probably mentioned it in the
yes.
classics.
Yeah. This is the problem with doing...
that's just for friends of the podcast, of course.
This is what happens when we do too many podcasts.
When you record 19 podcasts in a week.
Hey, at least we've winnowed it down. Remember when we
Almost
did
20.
Remember when we did a poetry podcast and had to try to find guests who would cancel the morning of the interview and things like that? That was no fun. And we did a podcast about how America and the UK are different.
We didn't do that at the same time as poetry, though.
No.
I think the most we've done at one time was 4.
Right. And one of them was SpongeBob, so I wasn't involved.
That's a lot of podcasts, though, when you think about it.
It is, especially if you do it as a hobby and not a job. We spend an awful lot of time doing it because we love it so much.
We just love the sound of our own voices.
Well, I love the sound of your voice, and you love the sound of my voice. It evens out.
Shall we preamble, my dear?
Yes, please.
Give us some of that delusional Corrie news.
Hey!
I'm fine, by the way.
My exotic American accent. Lucy Fallon has spoken up about her troubles with her mental health during 2020 to the point of being admitted to the Priory Mental Health Hospital for 5 weeks.
Oh, dear.
Yes. We applaud her for speaking up and glad that she got the help that she needed. I think, it's still, I think, a little bit stigmatizing mental health to talk about it. So I really applaud anybody who has a platform for talking about such things, because it's important.
Me and my best friend Brandon talk about this at work quite a bit, and it's actually very liberating.
Men will literally talk to one another instead of going to therapy.
Well, it is therapy of a sort, I guess. It's very commendable
Yes,
to
absolutely.
talk about it and to publicise it in such a way that would maybe encourage other people to do similar.
Absolutely. And as someone who was in a regular hospital during lockdown, I can't imagine how bad it must be during late 2020 to voluntarily go into a hospital, even a mental health facility. Hospitals were pretty scary back then. Bev Collard is at home recovering from her surgery to remove cancerous lymph nodes and has revealed that she may need more surgery, and we wish her the very best. That she has a large hematoma that they weren't able to get during this first surgery to remove the lymph nodes. So, but that she needs to recover a little bit before they go back in.
Sure. Obviously, we wish Beverly all the best.
Absolutely, absolutely praying for her to get better and back on the horse, as it were.
Have you watched any more of the soap?
Yeah, I don't think it's been released yet, has it?
I keep on seeing images from it.
Yeah, there's been images, but I don't think, because they were in the process of filming the first episode when she got the call that she had to go back for surgery.
Oh, that's
I
right.
believe. I got really confused. I thought you were talking about my Netflix Irish show that I've been watching, which I finished up
You
today.
do like an Irish show.
The How to Get to Heaven from Belfast, which was excellent.
Did you finish it?
I did.
Good stuff.
I enjoyed it. And finally, Maureen Lipman has said a proper storyline is what it will take to get her back on the show full time. And we couldn't agree more. Give her an actual storyline. She's like, it's pointless for me to show back up just to say, hi, I'm here. And she's not wrong. She's also been a little critical of all of the storylines that involve hospitals and police stations and hospitals and police stations.
It has been a week for that sort of thing. This
Yeah.
all kind of started last week when...
Yeah, I didn't really want to bring Sally Ann Matthews' name up. But, yeah, this...
I think what we've learned, or what I've learned from this, is never read interviews with producers or exec producers from Coronation Street, because it will infuriate you.
Yes.
Whether it's intentional or not, whether it's just slip of the tongue and maybe they've been misquoted,
Right.
or although the Ian McLeod stuff, I've watched the interview happen, so there was no misquoting.
No, you can't misquote Squid Games.
Right, going on there. The point I think that Ian McLeod was trying to make, and you can disagree with it as much as I disagree with it, being that you've got to, you stick to your guns and you believe in what you're doing and you don't listen to the naysayers or the people that are kind of telling you that you're about to go into an iceberg, and you
Right.
just keep on
Keep plowing
keeping
into
on.
that iceberg.
And then
Straight
Sally
ahead.
Ann Matthews comes up and says that basically what
But we
the
said
audience
last
has
week,
been
yeah.
saying and what we've been saying. That there's
But
far too much emphasis on the hospital and too much emphasis on the police station. And she said that when she was given, when Jenny was given the job in the cabin, there was no cabin set at that time.
Which we had noticed.
Yeah,
we had
haven't
noticed.
been in the
we haven't
cabin.
been in the cabin for ages.
Yeah.
What happened to the cabin?
Yeah, the set doesn't exist because they only have so much space for sets, and that set was being taken up by
Police
part of
station
a police
and
station.
The hospital.
So she's like, okay, well, you're putting me into the cabin that doesn't exist at the moment. So
Right.
how's that going to work?
Yeah.
And then listening to what Maureen Lipman says, it's like basically, if you don't give me anything to do, then why
There's
would
no
I show
point.
up? I'm
Yeah.
at a certain point in my life where
Just got married. Want to spend time with my new hubby.
how you spend your time is important, and how you spend your time really at any age should be important.
Absolutely.
But if she's got to go and stand and sip a double brandy at the bar,
And make a few snarky comments.
well, she's done that already, so why would she want to do that again?
Right. Yeah.
So I love this week because we spoke about this at some length last week.
Yes.
I feel like I'm speaking about it at some length again this week. And I wrote 1,000 words about it in the blog that has started to be a bit more complaining again, which I'm trying not to do. But,
Yeah.
you know, and I'm seeing similar things elsewhere. So it really does your heart good to think that, you know, we're not just sitting here complaining about things for the sake of complaining about it.
Right, yeah.
And if we didn't love the show, we wouldn't complain about it at all. We'd
Exactly.
just go and do something
Right.
better with our
We'd
time.
watch something better,
Yeah.
like an Irish soap.
So to get this sort of validation from people that are on the other side of this, the people that are on the in front of the camera, feeling pretty much exactly the same way, and obviously from a far more personal point of view, I mean, she said, you know what? Maybe we're not wrong here. Maybe we're not the 1% that just complains about things and doesn't know what they're talking about.
No. Yeah. It was Sally Ann Matthews, I think, who said, you know, we have cop shows.
Yeah,
We have hospital shows. If I want to watch a cop show, I'll watch a cop show.
yeah.
When I'm watching a soap, I want to watch a soap. Mm-hmm. You know?
But this is common sense. Isn't this common sense?
It should be common sense.
It's baffling how to make a show something that it's not and not expect people to rise up against that.
Right, yeah. Because it's not really cop shows and hospital shows that soap operas are competing against. It's really kind of reality shows and the Real Housewives and stuff. That's what's kind of replacing soaps by showing drama that's real life. You know? All these rich white ladies throwing shit at one another and stuff. So maybe that's what you need. Maybe they need to write more storylines where white ladies throw shit at one another. I mean, it worked. It worked when, what's her name? Who was fabulous?
Oh,
Claudia. Yes. That was one of the greatest episodes of Coronation Street I've ever watched. Is when Claudia threw a bouquet at Audrey, and then they were fighting over Nigel Haver's body, which fell out of the coffin. That's what I want to see. I don't think he fell out of the coffin, but it was close.
And it was Audrey that threw the bouquet at Claudia.
Yeah, I realized that as I was
Because we'll get
speaking.
letters.
We will get letters. But yeah, more of that, please.
Do you know, that was really good.
Yeah.
This is such a simple formula,
Yeah.
and we're making it way too complicated.
Yeah.
In other news,
In other news. Oh, that's Corrie News.
the clip that I made this week, my little semi-viral meme of the ghost in Nina's Rolls.
Oh, is that us?
Yes.
Because I've seen articles and I didn't click on them because people have written articles about it.
They have
Yeah.
articles in The Sun and the Daily Mail and in some other newspapers that I don't hate. And
Do they quote us?
we were credited.
We were credited?
We were credited.
Did the
the
Sun-
Sun and
The Sun credited us?
the Sun and the Daily Mail credited us.
What? I'm going to have to stop saying bad things about them.
No. That's still absolutely fine. But I was like, wow. I wasn't expecting to see that.
No one expects.
Unofficial Coronation Street podcast, The Talk of the Street.
Yes. Who was the ghostie?
Eagle-eyed, well, who knows? It was a ghost. Eagle-eyed viewers, The Talk of the Street.
That's hilarious.
I'm plural, apparently.
Well,
Anyway.
I'm here too.
Yeah, you didn't spot it.
No, but I'm part of it.
So that was quite exciting anyway.
Yes. It's no London,
No.
but it's something.
I got 2 more Londons for London.
Yay!
It's nearly a minute long now. Anyway, we've whittered on through the Corrie News for quite long enough. So long, in fact, that Corrie News has evolved into the feedback section that I like to call Everyone's a Critic. Aussie Alley writes,
Oi, oi, oi. That's
what an
you write.
excellent episode that was last week. I really appreciate the discussion surrounding Ian's comments. You are a voice for more than 1% of the audience, that's for sure.
Woohoo!
Thank you very much, Aussie Alley. We very much appreciate your thoughts on
So
that.
it's us and the Australians.
Rising up.
Rise it up. That's a whole 2 continents. I think I would prefer having an Australian on my side in a fight. I've seen the spiders in their country.
Australia and Karen Shore teaming up.
Yeah. And eating rabbits.
Well,
And kangaroos. Kangaroos are brutal. Have you
Vicious
seen
bastards.
the muscles on them? I got to pet a kangaroo once.
I got to pet a koala. It was stinking.
Smelly.
Then Perrine writes, re last week's podcast, I thought the book stealer was Lily, but now we think it's Jodie, right? Just causing havoc everywhere. And more creepy signs from her this week. So she's broken into Bernie's and the cabin so far. Enjoyed the podcast this week. The random things you two notice are all the same things I notice, so it's all good fun. There are more people like us.
Yes. He may not be wrong about Jodie because I have noticed she wears a lot of leggings. And Hope and Lily don't really wear leggings very often. And that person had leggings, black leggings on.
Well, we know it's Jodie.
Do we know it's Jodie? Was that on the show this week?
Oh dear, this is going to be a long, confusing podcast.
I take my eyes off of the television for like 5 seconds to go grab a beverage, and I missed Jodie having the book.
Mm-hmm.
I'm shocked.
Don't
But
worry.
that's hilarious.
Don't worry, I cover it in my notes.
Okay, good.
One of us was paying attention.
All right.
Will Shemmer writes, just watching Wednesday's episode and had to put virtual pen to virtual paper to say I am disproportionately annoyed by Christina's singing while George is seeing a client. Surely that's inappropriate. That's all I wanted to say. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to get that off my chest.
Do you know what's inappropriate when it comes to song choices? Last night at trivia, there was a question about which abolitionist was hung at Harper's Ferry, and the song that they played was "Hangin' Tough" by the New Kids on the Block, and I was like, oh
That's quite funny.
dear.
I mean,
It's John Brown, by the way, but yeah.
I think enough time's passed for that to become funny. Humour is tragedy plus time, after all.
I guess so.
And then Will Shemmer writes, okay, just watching Thursday's episode now. Christina is being just as annoying. Firstly, her actions, and secondly, the way she's talking to Adam. What a bell end. I appreciate the use of the phrase bell end there.
Yes, I was watching that Irish show that I referred to earlier when I was catching up and finishing it off. One of the characters said ball bags, and I was so pleased.
Excellent.
Like, yes, we got a reference to ball bags, and also, Girls Aloud, which is your favorite.
They're my jam.
They are your jam.
The number of
They
people I've
played
told
that-
about Girls Are Like, I feel like I've said that already as well.
Yes, because we talked about this. I think on Listener List, because it was my thinking on my list. But like one of the last episodes, they played that something kind of ooh, yeah, that song
Jumping on
number
my
2-2. Yes, they were playing that for like a party in 2003.
That checks out.
Yeah,
Brit271 says, I caught up on like 2 weeks and 2 days, and I kind of wish I hadn't. If Corrie is going for a The Six style storyline, they're failing. That was far from a perfect storyline, but at least I cared about most of the characters involved in this Brit271.
yes,
I think is exactly the problem. You've got
Right.
so many villains that you don't really care about.
yeah. And I mean, we only care about them dying because we want them to go away. Mm-hmm. We're not emotionally attached to any of these characters. We just want them to go away.
Jodie's new.
Maggie's new.
Maggie's new. Carl's been in the show for a year,
Yeah, and he's terrible and we hate him.
and I like him.
Theo is terrible and we hate him.
Theo's been in the show for maybe just over a year, but we do hate him.
Yes. And then Megan is a pedophile.
And Megan's new in the show as well.
Right.
So
And I don't even know why she's on the streets since the UK seems to be so good about arresting pedophiles. So much better than anybody in this country.
hold on. There we go. Tragedy plus time.
Do you see that somebody hung that picture of Andrew Mountbatten, whatever, Windsor, in the back of the police car in the Louvre? in like the Royal Portrait Gallery.
His face in that picture reminds me every time I hit Snapchat and the camera's pointed at me. Then Tina writes, I'm going to make it into the feedback section of the podcast this week.
Yes, you are.
I've started watching the episodes on YouTube and it's really opened up my day. I might just be high on life because the snow has finally melted and the sun is shining, but I really enjoyed this week of Corrie. I love having Steve back. I'm loving his relationship with Cassie, even though I know the end is in sight, but I'm enjoying it while it's here. The Kit confession caught me totally off guard, and I'm so happy that Bernie had an alibi. I'm hoping Kit has no repercussions. I know that hope is in vain, but it would be nice. I still hate Jodie. She remains on the top of my murder wish list for April. I also wish David could get some longer shirts because I don't need to see his stomach every time he raises his arms. I'd be happy if Bethany could become a thorn in the side for Jodie. I don't know why they had to start the storyline with George right now. I wish you could have some happiness with Christina for a while. And if it's okay, I'd love to give a shout out to the Discord server for friends of the podcast. It's a lot of fun to discuss the goings on during the week. I really enjoy finding out what others are thinking about our Corrie neighbours. Thanks, Gavin and Helen, for all your hard work. You
You're
make
welcome.
watching Corrie fun on the good storyline weeks and tolerable on the bad ones. And that's what we're aiming for. We're aiming for tolerable. Thank you ever so much. Tina, Brit71, Welsh Emma, Farine and Aussie Ali for writing in this week. We very much appreciate it. Feedback's always welcome. Send us your thoughts. I'll probably read them out. Get us at the talk of the street at gmail.com, or our DMs are open at Corrie Podcast. Or we love it when people write actual letters to us. Send us your proper mail to the talk of the street, PO Box 12, Eaton Rapids, Michigan 48827. Please note that we reserve the right to edit feedback, but only in the interests of brevity. And now we'll podcast for coffee.
Friend of the podcast.
Yes, please.
Thank you to our 49th friend of the podcast.
Oh, just one more. Just
Cameron.
one more, baby.
Well, let's give Cameron
Yes.
the little
Yeah, his name's Cameron.
moment
so
in the sun.
We're going to give him a big moment in the sun.
Cameron from Edmonton. When you mentioned The Littlest Hobo twice, I had to buy your coffee. When you mentioned touching cloth a second time, I had to become a friend of the podcast. I listen to a lot of podcasts. Yours is my number one.
Aw.
Do you know, that really does get you in the feels, doesn't it?
It really does. Because there are a
Genuinely-
lot of podcasts out there. I don't know if you've noticed.
Genuinely goosebumps a little
Yeah.
bit. Thank you for bringing us so much joy. I believe there was a friend of the podcast from Calgary. That's right, that's Uranium Jennifer.
Yes.
Our rival city in Alberta. So this will bring balance to the universe.
Well, only if you also work with uranium.
Yeah. No offence, Cameron, but I think I'm taking Uranium Jennifer in a fight.
Right, because she's radioactive. That's what Imagine Dragons was singing about.
See, I don't know why you tease me with that, because now I have to say Ready to Rock You, which is what you thought it was called.
I think it was, Nick and I were talking about this. Oh, and I can't remember what song came on, and I said when I was a kid, North to Alaska, which is also a song that mentions Canada, so it fits this conversation. They played it at trivia last night. I guess there was a mining question. I don't know. But I said to Nick that when I was little, I thought it was north to Alaska. We're going north to the Russia zone, but we're going north. The rush is on.
Oh.
And he said, you were an idiot when you were a kid. And I was like, I'm so glad I birthed you.
Thank you ever so much, Cameron. We very much appreciate you becoming a new friend of the podcast and hope that you enjoy the bonus content that is now suddenly available to you.
Yes.
And please pop into the Discord to say hello.
Yes. Yes. Very exciting. We just recorded our latest classics episode, which will be dropping in your feed in a couple of days.
We were talking about episode 4339.
Emily Up a
from
Tree.
January 23rd, 1998. It's a late one.
Yeah.
It's still classic, though.
Yeah, it's still over 20 years old.
It's getting a little too close to the 2000s, so we'll be retreating a little bit in coming months. But yeah, that was a good one. Emily Up a Tree.
Emily Up a Tree.
And of course, we are now just one more friend of the podcast away from our arbitrary goal of 50 by episode 400.
Have you mentioned this on the socials that we'd like to get to 50 before the 400?
No, I don't like to draw attention to it.
No, you'd much rather draw attention to ghosts in the rovers.
Yeah, that's far more comfortable. It makes me kind of hot and my shirt a little sticky when I start to say things like that on social media. Anyway, thank you again, Cameron. The Talk of the Street is and will always be free on your podcast provider and on the YouTubes. But if you think a show is worth anything more than the time it takes to listen to it, and if you want to show your appreciation or if you want more weekly and monthly content, I've got an idea for you. Head over to corriepodcast.com, click on Support the Pod, and then Friend of the Podcast. And for $2 a month, you can get access to our weekly spoiler show, the Talk of the Street Spoiler Alert, or a monthly classic Corrie show, the Talk of the Street Classics. Like I said, this month we're talking about episode 4339, Emily Up a Tree.
Emily
and
Up
if
a
that
Tree.
wasn't enough, you also get access to our Discord server, a shout out at the end of every podcast, your name on the credits of the flagship, and we will probably read out your one-act play for you. And also, perhaps sing.
Yes. Send us your songs and I will sing them.
If you prefer something a little less formal, you can also buy us next week's coffee by clicking Buy Us a Coffee. Remember, you can always support the podcast for free. Get us in front of new listeners by liking, subscribing, rating and reviewing wherever you get your podcasts. All right, shall we dive in, my dear?
Yes, please.
Our first storyline this week is Sister from the Same Mister.
Again.
Yeah, more of this.
More of this.
On Monday at the cabin, it seems that the alarm that we heard on Friday during the break-in was just for decoration because Brian's turning the place over looking for his book, The Woman in White. Mary is there.
By Wilkie Collins.
And has thankfully calmed the fuck down about it. Which just makes her outrage at the woman in white tights from last week even more bizarre. Let's not pick at that, Scabber.
Yes, we have other things to complain about this storyline.
Jim, I can't think of who would want to steal the book unless it was out of spite, and this gives Brian a massive clue.
Right, yes. And Brian talks on and on and on about how his copy is a special early edition of Wilkie Collins. Fuck off. This is almost as bad as that Jennifer Lopez movie where her creepy neighbor gifts her with supposedly a first edition of the Iliad. Because that copy of The Woman in White was from the 20th century. You cannot get these things by me, Coronation Street.
I didn't think we were going in a Jennifer Lopez direction either, dear listener, but here we are.
You gotta be more accurate with what you call a 19th century book.
Didn't they just say it was an early edition?
Right. But an
It could still be early.
An early edition of a book that was first published in 1841 would not be published in the 20th century.
So, anyway, he heads over to see Hope and fairly gently wonders if she might have picked up his book by mistake. She denies it, and Ruby backs her up, saying, you know, if Hope had stolen that book, she would have told me about it.
Right. And
Fizz wonders what he's doing accusing her daughter.
right.
Goodbye, Mr. Packham, says Ruby. Goodbye, Mr. Packham, says Fizz. And Doran chases Brian to the door with his noisy drum.
Yay, we've got a Doran sighting this week. Thank God.
Doran with his drum.
I was about ready to send out a search party.
And we are now approaching month 11, where Alina has not been mentioned.
Hasn't called. Hasn't written. No video chats with her son.
Last April was when Alina dropped, and it wasn't even Alina, it was some guy dropped Doran off on Fizz's door because Alina's house had flooded or something, along with Swain and Swain's cat.
So what you're saying is we're about due for a child to just surreptitiously show up on someone's doorstep soon.
Or for Doran to just disappear because his contract's up. That better not happen. I love that wee boy. Hope admits to Ruby in private that she didn't steal the book. Meanwhile, Jodie is getting all spruced up for work, but Shona correctly assumes that she's also in communication with Carl. And once again, Shona tries to warn Jodie off, explaining what a scoundrel Carl is and saying that Jodie deserves better. So Jodie texts Carl back and declines his booty call and tells him that she'll see him around like a donut. And Nina's Rose later, Carl isn't happy about this, says something about bitches and hoes, mutters that he doesn't like being played and that he'll see her like a donut. So there, this is top patter. Bernie thinks it's wrong to lead someone on. And then Jodie clatters into Mal's toolbox and gets laid into him about that. Later, Jodie is wandering home, chatting to someone on the phone when it appears that she's being followed.
Ooh.
And the circumstances of that following doesn't really make sense. So on Tuesday, Jodie helpfully walks Lily to school while walking David, and we see that she's being observed again, this time by someone who has a locket in their hand. And chooses to look at that locket. That was useful, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
At the precinct, David does a shit, and Jodie is just going to leave it when PC Toyah of the Poop Police leaps out and tells her to pick it up. And we see, in close-up, Jodie picking up the dog shit.
With a hanky.
Yeah.
As Toyah explains what ringworm is to her.
Lily has fucked off to school by this point, so no one else hears the voice shout, Jodie! And next we know, Jodie's on the bench with some random wee lassie who claims to miss Jodie and doesn't understand why she disappeared. Jodie says that she misses her too, but says, how did you manage to find me? And we understand that the wee lassie was on a school trip to Weatherfield. And if it wasn't for that, she would never have seen her. But when I presume this is who saw or who was watching Jodie
Right.
at night
Maybe?
in the previous episode, so I don't know that this makes sense anymore. But if it hadn't been for the school trip, she would never have seen her. And we understand that Jodie used to be a nanny for this girl and her sister. Jodie thinks on her feet and says that she's in witness protection because she saw a murder, so she's in hiding, and the girl can't say anything to anyone about it, see? The wee lassie promises to keep stum. I thought she might have been related to Millie, because, well, you know.
Yeah, I know.
On the way out, Jodie bumps into Betsy, and the two of them share some low-level dog shite related banter before going their separate ways. But it becomes important now. Two people have seen Jodie here today, I think. Back home, when she has the living room to herself, and David has exhausted all of the gravy-related patter that he has, Jodie fetches out her trinket box and adds Bernie's face from her photograph in another storyline
Yes.
into the box. And she's also got Brian's fucking book.
I must not have seen the book in that box. It was a black book, so I must have just thought that was just the bottom of the box or something.
It's
I must not
enormous.
have-
It's far too big for that,
that box, yeah.
Because the box is full of little trinkets.
Right, yeah,
And
and-
an enormous book.
Now that book is like smushing them.
Yep. So
What's in the box? What's in the box?
John Doe has the upper hand.
Because there is a head in that box.
Evil dies tonight!
That's right. So Jodie broke into the cabin, set off the alarm
stole
that
a
no
book.
one reacted to,
Right.
and stole the book.
Right.
She also somehow managed to break into Dev's
That's house. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and carefully
Cut out a picture of,
removed the photograph from the frame, presumably,
yeah, cut it
cut it out,
and around,
put the photograph back
back
in the
frame, and get out before anybody sees you in a house that has 3 people living in it, one of whom is currently unemployed because she just got out of the hospital.
So this
And
was
for
a brave,
nobody to notice her.
this was a brave maneuver from Jodie. This takes time. I presume that she got the key from Bernie's jacket at work, maybe. But why would she want a trinket from Bernie? Bernie's been on her back a little bit because she's been harassed by Mal. I'm just,
Maybe
I'm
she's
just so
just-
curious as to what she's aiming to achieve.
Maybe
through
she's
this.
just a kleptomaniac. Or maybe she's going to try to murder Brian and Bernie.
I don't think she's a
Notice I
serial
say
killer
try.
anymore.
You don't think she's a serial killer
No,
anymore?
because this isn't a souvenir box.
It
Like
may
I
be.
thought, she's a magpie. She sees little things and she takes them. But what she's doing though is she's
then
creating.
again-
I think we maybe talked about this. She's creating friction between
People.
and that's going to, I think, maybe escalate into the events that we we'll see play out in April.
And I like the picture especially. You'd have to break in and then know that there's a picture of Bernie in the living room and know where they keep the scissors.
Well, maybe let's give her the benefit of the doubt and say that she came prepared with scissors. But I also think that she's going into that room not knowing what she's going to take until she sees something.
Yeah, but
which
it
makes
seems
it hard
like,
to prepare for.
Right, and it seems like if that's the case, then you would take something that's not, that you don't have to cut out. It feels kind of weird that this is a thing. And also, it's the sort of thing that if somebody were to find this box at some point and open it up, you know, the other stuff in the box may not alarm them.
Fairly anonymous.
But Bernie's head, that's alarming.
And Brian's book.
Yeah, but even Brian's book, you know, it's just a copy of The Woman in White, not even an early edition, and missing its dust jacket. So she could say, oh, that's not Brian's copy, that's my copy. But you can't say, oh, no, that's not Bernie's head, that's my Bernie's head.
So she's done this to Bernie's photograph so that Bernie thinks that it's Mal, which will become clearer in another storyline that we've still to talk about.
Right.
And the events that happened there, you could argue, wouldn't have happened if she hadn't have done that.
Right, and also...
And if she hadn't told Mal that
Bernie secretly
kind
really
of fancies him.
Yeah, and also with the book, she knows that Brian is going to accuse Hope of this, and maybe Lily.
Or Lily, yeah.
Yeah. So
and maybe she's hoping that he accuses Lily.
Yeah, it's very intentional here that she's stirring shit in the pot.
This is all Needful Things, isn't it? Is this Needful Things, the Stephen King book?
Well, it's definitely not Needful Things, the thrift shop in Charlotte.
No. That's a very, very specific joke.
I don't think that's even the only thrift store called Needful Things.
Let's hope so.
I think lots of places in America have Needful Things thrift shops from people who've never read the Stephen King book.
So the Needful Things story is the kind of thrift store, second-hand store, always has something that somebody wants in it, and to get it, you don't buy it, you do a favour for the owner, which seems very small and incidental.
Right.
Which has huge ramifications.
Right.
And it feels like this is what they're trying to do here with the things snowballing and getting out of control and people ending up getting hospitalised or whatever's going to happen to Hope or Lily from the book theft, if indeed anything does.
Speaking of horror inspiration in Coronation Street storylines, as I was watching The Wicker Man earlier today, I realized that the death of the police officer at the end of Wicker Man reminded me an awful lot of Billy in the flames reciting the Lord's Prayer.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah. It's like, wait, I've seen this before. Only it was Billy strapped in a bus, and there were less sheep involved.
Excellent.
And naked ladies.
Okay, good. On Wednesday then, it's Rita's birthday.
Woo!
In the cabin, Mary has got her a Mary and Rita commemorative friendship plate that annoys Rita because she doesn't like the photograph that's in it.
Right. She's like, where did you get this picture of me? And Mary's like, oh, I took it of you on the slide the other day.
When you were counting out Steve's hard gums. Brian hasn't got her anything because he's too upset about his book that he still blames on Hope. Jodie's in and she stirs the pot some more, wondering if maybe whoever stole it was disturbed, and it could have been a lot worse. After this, Jodie is invited to the salon by Shona to thank her for all her help recently. At the salon, Bethany and Maria are on duty and they all indulge in a bit of fizz as Shona proposes a toast to her wonderful sister who's been worth her weight in gold. Jodie looks touched, but later when Shona talks about how much a fantastic daddy David is, she seems to turn sour and she eyes up Shona's rings that she's taken off as she's getting her nails done.
But not like that.
We don't see what happens, but when they all get home, Shona is distressed that she's lost her wedding ring that she was sure she had on at the salon. Bethany confirms that they've turned the place upside down looking for it. Jodie wants to see for herself, and Bethany's like, I've just told you.
Right, yeah. Bethany is on to Jodie now. We're back to Detective Bethany.
The phrase Detective Bethany is something that I'm using as we progress through this story.
Yes. She gets her detective chops from her mum.
She does.
Detective
I
Sarah.
already told you that I looked at the
Yes.
salon. What you saying, your cow? Has instantly taken against her.
Yes.
Now, the only other contact that I think Bethany's had with Jodie was she was the one who saw Jodie really upset because she lost her house key.
Mm-hmm.
And it was Bethany that phoned Shona to come home about it.
Right, yes. Because she
And
was
for-
having a
and-
panic attack in the street.
Right. Bethany's further pissed off when Jodie basically throws her out because it's getting late and she's only made dinner for two. Bethany pretends that's fine, she was leaving anyway, but she throws a glance at Jodie on the way out, and if looks could kill.
Oofed.
During the day, Jodie also let David shit outside number one, in fact, positively encouraged it. It never works when you encourage a dog to shit.
No.
And in the pub, Brian was a moody get and called Ken a Marxist during Rita's birthday celebrations.
That was hilarious. It's a kid. What did Ken say? He said something about...
I mean, oh, if only there were more libraries, then people wouldn't need to steal ancient books from you, Brian.
Right, yes. If only one of these... If only whoever stole that book had a library card.
Yep. And this is communism, according to Brian.
Yes. Which is hilarious, because he used to be a school teacher, so you'd think he'd be all up in the library.
Yeah. On Thursday at the salon, Toyah's getting her hair done, but not in a style that I'm likely to stand anytime soon. Shona was a bit short with her off camera, which Bethany and Maria reckon is to do with her missing wedding ring, just so we don't forget that happened. Then David gets a call from Jodie telling him to come home urgently. She's got her hand pretend trapped down the cushion of the chair and reckons that Shona's ring's down there.
But not like that.
So David reaches in,
But not like that.
tickles the rim of Shona's ring
But not like that.
with his finger, then moves his finger gingerly around the edges of Shona's ring,
But not like that.
and then hooks it. Gotcha!
But not like that.
They skip off to the Rovers, and it's Jodie who slips Shona's ring back onto her well-lubed finger, and Shona is thrilled. Drinks all around.
Yes, and Bethany looks on suspiciously.
At the bar, though, Detective Pikachu confides in Maria. Didn't Shona say that she was sure that she lost her ring in the salon? Maria loves a bit of gossip, but even she has to concede that everyone kind of loves Jodie. What's Bethany's problem?
Nobody
Bethany
loves Jodie.
Isn't sure just yet.
Yes.
On Friday, Jodie's pouring milk down the sink and unloading the dishwasher onto the worktop, so when Shona comes home exhausted from the hospital, she thinks David's skived off from doing the shopping and the dishes. But when David hurries down the stairs, she doesn't challenge him about any of this,
No.
and instead chooses to give him a hard time for having a long lie. He
Yeah.
rushes off to service Mrs. Pickles. And Nina's rolls later, Shona and Bethany chat about how tired Shona is and how David is working to bring in money, and so he's the one that gets to sleep. So Bethany basically tells Jodie to take Lily to the movies tonight, and then says that she'll sit with Harper, and then Shona and David can have some quality time together. Shona is thrilled, Jodie less so. Detective Bethany also has a wee dig at Jodie about being a super detective and she should work for the police. And this seems to irritate and confuse Jodie quite a bit. And I'm loving this.
Yes.
This is a Bethany that I
can get behind.
absolutely love.
Yes.
So much better when Daniel's not involved.
Yes. Yes. It's like Todd and Billy all over again.
Right.
So much better when the love interest we hate is not involved.
All this is a story about Bethany who just doesn't trust Jodie for no real particular reason. Just little discrepancies in her story, or isn't it just lucky that Jodie was able to do this? Isn't that suspicious?
You know what I think?
What?
Bethany and Sarah should open up a very specific private detective agency, all about rings and other pieces of jewelry. Because let's not forget, the thing that tipped Sarah off that Carla had been abducted was a
ring as
picture.
well.
Was a picture of a ring.
Yeah, rings
Yeah.
are us.
Rings are us.
Give us a ring. That could be the terrible punny name for their detective agency.
Sarah and Bethany, give us a ring. We'll solve all of your jewelry.
No, see, you just made it too long.
Well, no, give us a ring. And then the tagline is, we'll solve all of your jewelry mysteries. Some accessories upon request.
Needs work. So when David comes home from work, for a horrible moment he thinks he's forgotten their anniversary because Shona's all spruced up, looking like she has some place to go. Jodie looks glum as she drags Lily off to see the new Melania movie. Shona and David's date night is a great success, and it's about to get carnal when Jodie and Lily come back home early from the Melania movie because it was shit.
And also, Lily was too young to watch it because it was shit.
And it kills the mood. And Jodie gets wired into the brownies. And that's as far as we get with that this week.
Yes. It's just too bad they weren't pot brownies.
Is that the first storyline? That is the first storyline. Bloody hell, we've been talking about that for a while.
Ages.
Yeah, I do think this has got promise. I mean...
Yeah, we're still not quite sure where it's going, but it's got promise.
It's got promise. There's a chance that this could be something fairly clever that they're doing here with Jodie's antagonistic, on the sly attitude to people.
Yes.
And that if she's just spreading, rumours, and she's gossiping, and she's also stealing little trinkets here and there, and it's just getting everyone all riled up and in each other's faces. That's kind of interesting. I don't think I've seen anything quite like this before, if that's what they're doing.
Right.
And it might not be what they're doing.
No.
In all likelihood, it's not what they're doing. But at the moment, when it potentially could be, I'm still fairly interested in it.
Yes.
And I kind of like Jodie as a character because there's just all this mystery. Like, what's this wee lassie about? Was Jodie a nanny for them? That's the impression that we're getting.
And if there's one thing that the Platt family needs, it's an antagonist.
Right. But this wee lassie obviously has history with Jodie.
Right. She was their nanny, it seems.
I believe so.
Yeah.
For her and her sister.
Right.
I've got to imagine there was some shenanigans going on with the dad in that situation.
Yeah.
That maybe explains the hurried departure. That's just adding more mystery to her character without really clearing anything up. Meanwhile, we've got Graham in Emmerdale, who probably knows a ton of information about Jodie, and he's just not talking about it.
No.
And
it's frustrating.
And his very, very deep voice.
What is he talking about over there in the Emmerdales?
No, he's sheep.
Sheep?
No, he's
talking about sheep?
He's talking about DeLorean cars.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
There was a DeLorean on the show. I think it was this week. Was that this week or last week?
Was there a Comic-Con in town?
No, somebody bought it and then somebody stole it. And then Graham got it back.
Yeah, because it's kind of hard to steal something like a DeLorean because there are only so many in existence.
Yeah, but there was a lot of chat about how shit a car it is.
Yeah. It leaks because of the doors, amongst other things. My mechanic in Connecticut had a DeLorean in his basement.
In his basement?
Well, in the basement of the shop.
Oh.
So.
That makes more sense.
Yes.
Yeah, so curious where this is going. Jodie still seems to have something with David that she wants for herself. She's doing her best to
she's
manipulate that situation. In the spoiler alert last week, I think we were given the impression that the David and Shona thing was far more aggressive than it actually turned out to be, and I'm glad for that because the way that it sounded and the spoilers didn't make an awful lot of sense.
She appears as close to orgasm as that nun in Wuthering Heights.
Who are we talking about there?
Jodie. When David's got his arm down and she's got her arm down.
Oh, there's a bit of sniffing going on there.
Yeah. She's like, it's making her horny.
Mm-hmm.
Like a nun seeing a dead man's erection.
She's elbow deep.
Yes.
Ooh.
In couch cushions.
We best move on.
It's like watching J.D. Vance make home movies.
No politics, you. Or couch porn. Our next storyline is Steve's new BFF. On Monday at number 1, Cassie observes that Steve's spending an awful lot of time texting Ben, his new BFF.
Yes.
Steve gets a call and assumes it's Ben, but it's actually some heavies looking to collect on some rent that's owed by one Jim McDonald, so it is.
Heavies, it's his landlord.
Seems Jim has put Steve down as guarantor, so he has.
So he has.
Steve is livid and reckons that Jim forced his signature. He contemplates his legal options later, but in the pub, Ben reckons that maybe it would be best to track his dad down and find out what the fuck this is all about. So Steve does that and learns from one of Jim's old army buddies that Jim's in the hospital.
So he is. It was fun seeing Jim in the classic episode with Emily Up a Tree. He's not watching Emily Up a Tree, though. He's building
Fixing a
something.
staircase.
Yeah.
On Tuesday, over breakfast, Tracy and Cassie are bickering, which is our favourite thing, without doubt.
And no, it's not.
Steve wants some pity because his dad is sick and he doesn't know what to do. Tracy says forget him. Cassie recommends visiting him. Amy, voice of reason, says he should do whatever it takes so that he has no regrets.
Right. But also, don't forget, Dad, Grandpa's an asshole.
Yeah. On the street later, his car has a flat battery, so a passing Ben offers to help out, reckoning that a man has to visit his old man if he's sick. It's the law.
It's not the law.
Ominously, Steve says that Ben doesn't know his dad.
So he
Ben,
doesn't.
So Ben drives him there, but Steve gets cold feet. Back at the pub, he tells this to Cassie, while Maggie becomes very agitated when Ben refuses to tell her where he's been. And at this point, and I think I'm a little late to this party, it becomes clear to me that Jim McDonald is Ben's dad, so he is. And it was a photograph of Jim McDonald that Maggie saw in the, whatever you call it.
In the hutch. You
call it a hutch. I don't think I call it a hutch. A sideboard, maybe?
Yeah, see, what I call a sideboard wouldn't have the top part on it.
That's the bottom bit, though.
Right, but that's something that's attached.
But we know what we're talking about.
Yes.
And our listeners do too.
But why would Ken have a picture of Jim McDonald in his house in the drawer under the hutch?
Well, Steve's maybe keeping it there.
Why would Steve keep it there?
Because he doesn't like his dad.
Yeah, why would he have a picture of his dad anywhere? Don't get me wrong. I like this idea.
I think it's...
I like this idea. I'm just confused as to why Ken would have a picture of Jim McDonald, so he would.
Okay, we don't have to do that anymore.
I know, but it's fun.
I think it's almost certain that this is what it is.
Well, I guess Steve is kind of getting too old to be birthing babies, so we've got to add to his family in a different way than like a long-lost secret half-brother.
I don't, on the surface anyway, I don't hate this.
No.
And it makes sense.
And they're believable as brothers.
It makes sense because everyone's Irish, right? My idea about Peter, I think still was a decent idea, but...
Peter's picture in the hutch would make more sense.
And it would make more sense. But the whole Irish thing kind of sells it.
Right, because it's more believable that Jim McDonald would show up in Ireland than Peter.
Yeah. Where it loses me a little bit is, why does everyone have to be connected to someone?
It's like Star Wars, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Where everybody has to be related to the Skywalkers.
Just don't.
It's like, this doesn't have to be a thing.
The Driscolls came in, there's a connection with Eva.
Right.
There's a slight connection between Ollie and Dee Dee.
Right.
That's
enough.
That's more than enough.
That's enough. Yeah, we're already treating it like Will and Sam are cousins, so it's enough.
And we're contriving this so that, one, we can kill off Jim McDonald, spoiler, and two, we liked it when Steve had a brother, so rather than bring Andy back, we're going to make Ben?
Andy gets a mention this week.
He does.
I like that.
There's also a part of another storyline that, will I wait to talk about that then? Fuck it, I'll just say it now.
Yeah, just say it now.
It looks like Amy and Ollie are getting close.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So if this is true with Steve and Ben...
Yeah, then they can't get close. Mm-hmm. Because they're blood cousins as opposed to Sam and Will being divorced cousins.
Yes, because Amy is Steve's daughter and Ollie is Ben's son.
Right.
So they are blood
Genetically
relatives.
related, yes.
Which I think is further evidence that this is what's happening.
Right, yeah. I don't like Ollie with Amy anyway. I'm still hoping against hope that Damien's son's going to come back.
Every time we talk about Jack James Ryan and Jacob, he's
such a lovely guy.
Makes me think of what could have been.
Yeah. It's like when we think of Phil with 2 L's. God, I miss him.
Good times.
Yeah.
On Wednesday, Steve steps in David's shit on his doorstep, but his day perks up when Ben invites him and Tim to meet the team event at Wherry County, thanks to something that's been laid on by the brewery. They all have a smashing day and retreat to the pub for pints later. Maggie, once again, is a snippy cow about all this, refuses to serve them, and then fucks off to the bar instead.
It was nice that Tim was included.
Oh, fuck off, Maggie.
Yes.
As Tim and Steve go for a game of darts, Steve's phone rings on the bar, and it's a call from Big Jim McDonald. So it is. On Friday, Steve has made a decision. He's going to take a leaf from Andy's book and pretend that his dad doesn't exist. Well done, says Amy and Cassie. Everything in Steve's life is tippity top notch at the moment, and he's loving life. And he gives Cassie a big slobbery kiss. In comes Mary, who loves young dream, or loves dream, or love.
Love's midlife crisis dream.
Privately, she tells Cassie that it's just a shame that it's not a leap year, and this makes Cassie suck a thoughtful tooth.
Yes.
Later, she calls Mary into the cab office to announce something exciting at 2 o'clock. Tim comes in and Mary can't hold her water. Cassie's going to propose to Steve. Nice one, says Tim, a little surprised to learn that Steve's divorce has come through unannounced.
Yeah.
Let's hope that he says yes, he says. He will say yes, won't he? Asks Cassie. And Mary holds Steve's face cushion in front of her and mimics a Steve yes, which was quite delightful.
It was. I enjoyed that.
And Cassie seems to enjoy Mary quite a bit, which I didn't
know they were
know that she
pals.
would. Yeah. That's as far as we get with that.
I think flowers will be involved in this proposal, and so that's why she's reined Mary in.
I got you. It just did seem genuine. I felt.
Cassie tends to get on well with people when they're in proximity to her. So remember, she was quite funny with Shona and David when they rescued her from that bathroom at the wedding. She seemed quite pally.
Oh yeah.
It's just a shame she didn't join the ladies to lunch.
I like Steve and Ben together. You said, I'm glad that Tim was included because Tim's not done anything wrong here.
No. And you know what? I can kind of believe Steve and Ben as brothers. They kind of have the same physicality.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. That's a relationship I believe.
Yeah, they don't really look identical at all, but generally they're kind of the same shape.
And like I said, there's a physicality that they both share, kind of. And I can't really explain it any further than that. Just kind of the way that they hold themselves and the way that they look at people.
Yeah, I can believe them. I can believe them.
I can believe it. Would also like Andy back, though, please. And thank you.
It's been so long since Andy's been on it.
I know. I'm afraid they'd give him a new face.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on then to Sucks to be a Webster. On Monday, Ronnie is visiting Debbie in prison, and it is not a happy visit. She wants him to give Carl $2,000. Ronnie points out how Carl is using her, and it seems that he either doesn't know exactly what Carl was planning to do at the hotel, or he's sparing Debbie the pain of it all.
Yeah.
Because he just loosely says that Carl's trying to ruin her. So Debbie goes on about how she owes Carl for all the years of neglect, and if Ronnie doesn't give Carl the money, she'll ask Ryan to do it instead. So later at the bistro, Ronnie's bringing Ed up to speed on all this when Carl comes in grinning like the cat who got the cream or the cunt who got the $2,000. No pockets and shrouds, he tells Ronnie smugly, and then goes off to wire into a lovely steak at the bistro that Sam's probably dropped on the floor, and that's as far as we get with that this week.
Yes.
So just a few scenes with Debbie, and I'm a little disappointed because I enjoyed seeing Lou so much last week. and really very little of Debbie as well. I was hoping that Ronnie was going to be able to either stand up to Debbie or explain to her what had happened better. But Debbie's stuck in this spiral of blaming herself about everything, even when a lot of what Carol's problems are seem to be brought on entirely by Carol.
Absolutely.
All right, moving on. Portrait of a Lauren in love. On Tuesday at the Rovers, Ollie asks Lauren out, and when it becomes clear that Maggie doesn't approve, Lauren agrees. Bistro at 6. Privately, Maggie says that she's not got anything against Lauren as such, but she and Ollie move in different circles and are on different trajectories, so Lauren is full of doubt as she gets ready at number 6. Betsy tries to pump her full of confidence, telling her
But not like that.
Thank you, telling her that she's the best looking barmaid in Weatherfield.
That's true.
I don't know, I think Glenda maybe has something to say about that.
It's really apples to oranges, isn't it?
It's a little. Lauren explains about Maggie's disapproval. What, from his nan, says Betsy, and she tells Lauren that if she plays her cards right here, she's a future landlady of that pub. But Lauren is worried that apart from being Ollie's nana, she's also her boss, and she needs this job, so she texts Ollie her cancellation while Ollie is waiting at the bistro. But it's not all bad news for Ollie, because apparently it's bistro policy to furnish anyone who's been stood up with a free dessert.
Yes.
Isn't that nice?
That is nice. We get a free dessert at our favorite like sushi place by the movies.
I think everyone gets that free dessert.
No, I like to think that it's just us.
Okay. That's great. I'm like...
Yeah, I was really frustrated by this because like she's all dressed up and she should know at this point that Eva has her back as far as Rhodas and things are concerned.
This feels entirely solvable
Yeah.
by speaking to Eva.
Right.
Or even by speaking to
Ben, yeah.
And I don't believe for a second that Lauren doesn't feel capable or comfortable speaking to either one of them.
Right.
The way she was doing her nails at the bar the other day, the way that she was speaking to customers making an order, it doesn't seem that being slightly...
Inconvenienced.
Yeah, it's something that she's going to concern herself with.
Yeah.
Because she says to Eva, and even Eva will just do the opposite of what Maggie says.
Right.
Even if she doesn't necessarily agree with it.
Right. Because Eva's already pointed out, her not putting Lauren and Ollie on the rota at the same time. Mm-hmm. So Eva's aware of this.
And as is Ben.
And they have both spoken up for Lauren. So, but also at the same time, the way that Ollie so very quickly turns his attentions to someone else makes me feel like Lauren has dodged a bullet.
Yeah. Because on Thursday, Steve has crashed on the couch at the pub despite living next door.
Next door. Right next door.
I think it's easier for him to get from the snug of the Rovers to his living room.
Probably.
I think that's a shorter number of steps than it is to get to the back room of the Rovers.
Yeah.
It's got to be close. But
Yeah.
anyway.
But it's funny.
He's crashed out on the couch. Amy comes to fetch him, and Ollie, who's a chef, let's remember, can't resist offering to make them a beautiful full English breakfast with his homemade baked beans, which after a heavy night on the sauce causes some concern for Steve and Amy. And there's already a bit of a spark between the two of them just as they're talking about beans. Ollie seemingly not exactly
the language of love.
Not exactly wanting to let the grass grow.
Yeah.
But as I say here, if our assumptions are right, Maggie might be desperate for Lauren to get back on the scene.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. And she won't, because she'll be like, fuck off. I ding you one date and all of a sudden he's all over Amy. No, thank you.
So what exactly is Ollie's type?
Female.
Right.
Female under the age of 35.
'Cause that's a wide demographic, isn't it?
Dee Dee, Lauren, and Amy, yes.
Three
Very different women.
disparate looking women with very different personalities.
Single ladies.
just single ladies.
He loves all the single ladies. All the
Is
single ladies.
Is he a player then?
Maggie seems
Maggie
to
says
indicate
that
that he is. I don't know, though, because he didn't fool around on Dee Dee that we know of. And he doesn't seem to be, like, constantly hitting on women with non-speaking roles that come into the Rovers.
Thankfully.
So who knows?
But yeah, he got dumped on Tuesday and he's already kind of flaunting it in front of Lauren on Thursday. Although,
it's not even-
was it just banter? Was that all it was?
And it's not even that Lauren broke up with him, because they're not, like,
They weren't really
official.
going out
They're not
anyway.
really going out. She just canceled one date
Stood him up.
once.
I shouldn't even stand him up.
No, she texted him. I'm back to hating Ollie.
How quickly that happened. That happened without us really noticing that it was happening.
Yeah, I know.
Because I was quite liking him.
I know.
I was even liking when he was making his homemade baked beans.
Yes.
Too much of a faff. The stuff in the tin's fine.
Certainly fine around this house.
Yeah, the Heinz beans don't last long here.
They do not. People eat them by the bowlful.
Yeah, even when other people have other plans for them.
Yes. It's the price you pay for living with other people who you are legally obligated to feed.
Not legally obligated to feed. Anyway, later in the bar, Ollie is still upset at Lauren for standing them up, and she barks that she's apologised already. Amy comes in, and she and Ollie share some baked bean / farting banter, while Lauren eyes them jealously. She says that there's a definite spark between them and gives Amy the green light to go for it, because she's worried that she's going to break the girl code. And I don't think that Amy gives a fuck about Lauren's exes. The two of them aren't buds, are they?
Well, they kind of are, because they've been at parties together where remember, Amy, well, they've already broken the girl code because both of them had a hook in Addie. Let's not forget.
Oh, God, that Addie Lauren thing.
Yeah. So, and remember, Amy kind of stood up for Lauren about the whole Addie thing.
I suppose. I don't...
But it is funny thinking that, Amy and Lauren have a girl code when, again, they both had their tongues stuck down Addie's throat in the same day.
Yeah, I don't think they've got a code at all. Or if it is, it's not shared with the other one.
It's hard because there are slim pickings when it comes to dateable men on the street of a certain age.
Next up, where there's a will. On Wednesday, George is schmoozing the sister of the deceased, who happened to be Weatherfield's premier Dusty Springfield impersonator.
I love this.
Christina thinks that she's left, so cracks a joke about getting his hands on another inheritance, but Mrs. Ripley is still in the doorway and hears everything. George apologises, but Mrs. Ripley rushes off. He's fuming at Christina, who says that she was only joking, and looks upset about the hurt
It's just
that
a
she's caused.
joke.
And Nina's...
That wasn't McBain.
Oh, no.
No,
And Nina's
that
rolls
was,
later...
that was someone else.
And Nina's rolls later, George's day gets worse when Adam, who Christina is trying to employ on George's behalf in the whole will contesting thing,
With Annie.
informs them that he's been retained by Annie from last week to contest the will on her behalf. He suggests that George lawyer up too. Back at the Undertaker's, George takes a call from Mrs. Ripley, who is now unsure whether to use George's services. Did you hear about the Undertaker who swindled widows? Asks George. Did he bury the evidence? Says Christina. Badum-tish.
That's the joke.
So she arranges a secret rendezvous with Mrs. Ripley at the bistro and does her best to smooth things over about her joke, explaining about the old bat trying to take George to court. Mrs. Ripley is sympathetic to a point, but mostly unmoved, so Christina pretends to take a call from George, who, she implies, is crying his heart out about this. But then in comes George, wondering
Right
what's
behind
missing. And Mrs. Ripley is fucking furious about this.
Yeah, she hasn't been this mad since her nephew Tom murdered all those people in Italy.
Sure. And she tells George to suck on her balls and says her sister would be spinning in her grave if she'd been buried. Christina! Shouts George.
And then George tries to smooth it over by quoting Dusty Springfield to Mrs. Ripley.
Believe me, Mrs. Ripley.
How dare you take the words of Dusty in vain.
Indeed.
Oh, God, that was great.
That was good. Yeah, Mrs. Ripley is so good value for money here.
Yes, she's very talented.
She's Joan Ripley. The talented Joan Ripley. On Thursday,
The talented Mrs. Joan Ripley.
George is trying to call Joan to make amends, but she's dinging these calls. Christina thinks that she might be busy. She's an 83-year-old pensioner, not Jeff Bezos, says George. That was awfully funny as well.
Which was funny, and also,
But wait a minute, you don't...
that's quite a wide gap there, George.
Yeah, you're not one or the other.
Right.
Oh, well, she's not an 83-year-old pensioner. It must be Jeff Bezos then.
Yes.
Just because he looks like a pensioner. And a Bond villain. Why do they all look like Bond villains?
Or Superman villain.
He thinks it might be a good idea to decline the bequest from Annie's mum, but Christina is appalled by the idea. George has done nothing wrong and has only acted with integrity, and declining the money might actually make him look guilty.
Then this is when I start to think that maybe Christina has something to do with this.
Do you think? Because I think her reaction so far has looked genuine and looked really upset that she's causing upset.
Right, yeah. But she's also a great actor. And also, the fact that she's so quick to say, oh, no, you have to keep this money. When George is right, this is absolutely the thing that he should do, is to refuse the money, and then the lawsuit goes away.
And also, for an undertaker's, I don't think that 10 grand is all that much money. It's not like it's £1 million.
Fair enough. I mean, that's like the cost of one funeral, isn't it? Because like coffins alone can be like $5,000.
Yeah, it's an expensive business.
Yeah. Because it's necessary.
I don't think there's... Is there such a thing as a poor undertaker?
Not in this economy.
So declining the money might make him look guilty. Why should he let a nasty woman get her way? And George is emboldened by this. This is even better than that, Stiffy. On the down low,
But not like that.
Christina goes to speak to Adam in the bistro about the case where Adam is representing the other party. Do you know this? You might be onto something here, because she knows that Adam's representing the other side. Why would she start asking him questions? It does seem a little bit odd.
It does.
But anyway, Adam tells her that it would be easier all round if George simply refused the money, as that would be an end to it. And apparently Christina's also on the hook here as a co-conspirator, and this makes Christina's eyes pop out of her tits. Back at the Undertaker's, George has finally got a hold of Joan and encouraged the old dear to haul her elderly arse across town to meet him, which Christina did yesterday.
Right.
This poor old woman was dragged to the bistro, and now she's dragged back into town to go to the Undertaker's.
Oh.
Poor soul. She's had a change of heart, it seems, and wants George to bury the Dusty Springfield look-alike after all. She trusts him implicitly. It's that Christina that she's not sure of.
Yeah.
You're cut from the same cloth as your dad, she says. And this gets George all emotional. He walks to the window, looks out on the street, and threatens to repeat Gail's monologue. He goes on for a bit about honour and integrity, and then says that there's not a lot of traffic on the extra mile, but his hearse is there. And then when he turns back to Joan, he's shocked to find that he's literally bored her to death. Oh, pig's tits, he says, and he calls her corpse an ambulance.
Corpse! You're an ambulance!
Do you know, when that was...
I'm sorry. I shouldn't be laughing at this, but it's so funny
It's meant to be funny.
that he's bored her to
I
death.
think it's meant to be funny.
I hope so, because it is funny.
As he's doing that speech, and the camera's very careful
Just
to show him in that window.
right. You don't see her sinking slowly into the chair in the
I'm like,
background.
she's dead.
Which
She's
is
definitely
hilarious.
dead. That's the only way that scene's going to end.
Right.
Is with her being dead.
Yes,
And it was brilliant.
it was.
I'm going to miss her though.
2 thumbs up.
Joan Ripley was tremendous. She's making it to the In Memoriam 2026,
Yes.
along with Billy.
Predeceased by her beloved cat Jones, who was murdered by an alien. I can't help it. I'm out of talented Mr. Ripley jokes. It just
I
happens.
think it's slim pickings, Helen. I'm not going to lie to you.
You're just cursed by the fact that I also watched The Talented Mr. Ripley today before I watched Wicker Man.
I'm going to move on.
Okay.
On Friday, George is still in shock about Joan's death and about the optics of that situation. Todd helpfully thinks that it was just her time, plain and simple. But then in comes Joan's son, Damien.
Another Damien on the show? Come on. Get more creative.
I don't have Omen music, unfortunately. Gulp, says George, but it turns out that Damien is looking for Shuttleworths to handle the arrangements for his mum, and it's all very cordial until they all follow him out onto the street, and Mad Annie appears from nowhere, calls George a con man, and hopes Damien hasn't signed anything, and she explains about the will. Damien doesn't seem to know how wills work.
No, he really doesn't.
So becomes super suspicious about this. Come to think of it, he says, my mum did worry that George was a scam artist, so you know
No,
what?
she didn't.
So you know what? Fuck y'all. I'll bury my mum myself. Then Tim appears to take Mad Annie and Adam to the cop shop, and this makes George shit himself for the third time in 24 hours. At the cop shop, Kit is too interested in another storyline, so can't be arsed to follow up on any of this. Privately, Adam points out to him that he arrested Christina for fraud not so long ago, and asks if any of this is out with the realms of possibility. In the pub, everyone's whispering about George doing 2 sisters in a week. One more, says Sean, and that's a nunnery.
But a
Which was just, it was a great little joke just hidden away there.
Right, yes. An excellent use of Sean.
You blink and you miss it.
Yeah.
In comes Tim and George quizzes him about his fare to the police station, and Tim is sad to report that it sounded as though things were progressing well. And that's as far as we get with that this week. I'm loving this.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
It's a kind of fun storyline that you know is not going to be fun at some point, probably very soon. But at the moment, it's good fun.
Right. We all like a little black humor here and there.
Yeah. I was getting a little bit confused about which old lady was which.
Right, yep. Yeah, me too. Because at first I thought Mrs. Ripley was Annie when I was writing the spoiler alert. And then I'm like, oh no, they're 2 different people. And then I had to rewrite spoiler alert.
Well, I guess the big question is about Christina's intentions here.
Yeah.
It's doing a good job at least giving the impression that she's on the level.
Right.
But I don't know if a con lady can change like that.
Yeah.
So seamlessly.
And this is what Adam says to Kit.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, yeah, George is a great guy and all, but Christina has form.
Mm-hmm. And that little scene,
I did think that scene was ridiculous, though, because what the cops, this is a civil case. This is not a legal case. It's a civil case. So why is she going to the cops about a contested will? There's nothing the cops can do about it.
well, if she was manipulated into writing that will, then that is fraud, I guess.
But again, it's a civil offense. I don't know. It was like, come on. Kit has to find out who blotted the Mal character. He doesn't have time for this bullshit, Annie. Go away. And it feels weird that Adam would go along with this. You know, she's like, no, I want to take this to the police. You'd think Adam would say, well, ma'am, this is really a civil offense for the courts. There's nothing the police can really do. And that's basically what Kit says. There's nothing I can do. There's no evidence of any sort of fraud. It's just he said, she said. And actually, George isn't saying much.
The person who can clear all this up is dead.
Yeah.
What was Annie?
Annie is the daughter.
What was Annie's mum's frame of mind when she wrote that will?
Right. And when did she change it? And also, they say, well, Annie got the lion's share of the will. Mm-hmm. You know, what's 10 grand to her? Because it sounds like she's well off anyway.
We get that impression this week, definitely. This is small potatoes.
Yes.
So if Annie is contesting it, then she just needs to contest it. But There doesn't necessarily need to be anything underhanded here for this
No.
will to exist like this.
Right, yeah. And the fact that George was really surprised. Because you would think before the will was read that the executor of the will would have contacted
You would have thought that,
George
certainly.
to come in for the reading of the will, at which point George would say, "What? Why do I need to be there for the reading of the will?" And he's like, and the executor would say, "Well, she's left you something." And then George would probably say, "I don't want anything."
I think that maybe morally an undertaker is maybe required to knock that back.
Yeah, one would think. I mean, it's different than the booze that the other family gave him. But again, the booze is kind of suspicious too, because we've never really seen that happen. It was the gift card for a meal the one family sent.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
And Christina was like, ooh. And then all of a sudden it was the Chablis or whatever it was.
Cognac.
The cognac. And again, George is like, oh, I think this is too much. I'm going to send it back. And Christina's like, no, we're going to keep this.
Yeah, wait a minute. He was ready to knock back a bottle of booze and he's going to accept 10 grand?
Right. And then he's like, no, I'm good. And then it escalates to 10 grand. I think Christina's behind this. I think she saw the angle with that gift card for a meal. And she started, because I'm sure she speaks to she's answering phones there. Not always when George is around.
She's also essentially an assistant at the...
Right. And a con artist.
Yeah, when you think of it, like a con artist with access to vulnerable people
Right.
and emotional people who maybe
Yeah.
aren't paying quite the attention that they should do.
Right.
This is a recipe for disaster.
And don't get me wrong, I really don't want Christina to be responsible because that will break Christina and George up. And I love Christina and George together.
I do enjoy them. Because it sort of brought it home to me how involved she is at the Undertakers when we saw Glenda for the first time
Right.
there in ages. And Glenda's the old hand at this, and she
Right.
knows all the tricks that she heard from Archie about to
Right.
give them 1 sugar extra.
Right.
It made me realise, aren't there a lot of people in the Undertakers right now?
Right.
Because Christina is there, front of the house,
Right.
helping to console people.
Right.
Getting
While also
involved in
cleaning.
it.
Yeah. It was odd to me that Todd was only there once.
Right in the back,
Yeah.
on his laptop,
Yeah.
barely involved, couple
Right.
of lines, that was it.
Because it doesn't seem like Annie is suing him as well. Just George and Christina.
She did
She did
accuse him
Right.
last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does look very, very suspicious.
Yeah.
So you think the gift card was the start, maybe the cognac just reinforced it.
Right. Or even, I don't know, because like I said, this whole idea of people gifting George things above and beyond after the funeral wasn't really a thing on the show, wasn't really something brought attention
No.
until that gift card and until Christina showed up.
And they distract us with silly names. We didn't get any silly names. Ripley was obviously a fairly reasonable name. But they've been entertaining me with silly names that I've been paying attention to more than anything else.
Right.
But anyway. All right, our final storyline this week is Bernie down for Bernie's. On Monday, Bernie's phone goes as she's doing the dishes at home, and it's a withheld number.
Uh-oh.
She shits herself as Dev answers it. Who answers withheld numbers? But it's a cold call from a loft insurance company that Dev chooses to insult. He and Asha are off for a daddy-daughter break until Wednesday, so that's nice, isn't it, Helen? At work, Mal is into week 3 of his rewiring job, but he takes time out to tell Bernie that her hair is nice.
Yeah.
She vomits in her mouth a wee bit. Later, Roy announces that the flat is finally rewired and Mal has done a wonderful job. He's off to the bank to get his money and instructs Bernie to make him a complimentary coffee, which she reluctantly does. Mal does a Zippy impersonation for some reason. It's dead quiet in Nina's rolls, so it's just the two of them. And she makes it fairly clear that she's uncomfortable with this, and he seems to realise, and he makes his excuses, but then he has a rush of blood to the head at the door, and he locks it, and then he makes his impassioned plea for her heart. He tells her
Which is crazy.
that he can't stop thinking about her and their kiss, and how it was 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi.
Insane.
This was
This guy.
baffling behaviour.
This guy is Tom Ripley.
He longs for her and thinks that they can be truly happy together. This isn't going to happen, she says angrily,
Again.
and Mal's demeanour changes in an instant.
Yes.
You fucking slag with your greasy fucking hair, he says.
Right, leading me on.
To the rescue, Kit bangs on the door, wondering why it's locked. Bernie shouts that she'll be there in a minute and quickly lets him in, and as he comes in, Mal sneaks out the other way.
Yes.
Kit asks if she's alright. She says that she is. Later at the pub, though, Bernie's trying to stay out for as long as possible, but then they finally have to leave, and she accepts Kit walking her home. Once she's home, though, she sees that her photograph has been defaced in a photo with Dev, and panicked, Bernie hurriedly leaves.
It's their wedding photo, isn't
I
it?
think so. On Tuesday, Bernie has spent the night at Chesney's, blaming pigeons in her loft, but not like that.
Yeah.
She cautiously leaves and takes up residence at the community garden, where Mal appears from nowhere, telling her that she shouldn't be scared of him. She shows him the picture with her face cut out and blames him for it. He denies it, but again makes a play for her, reckoning that she's just plain hard to get. I'd rather shove my own head up my own arse than look at you one more time, you fucking weirdo, she says.
What part of Mary don't you understand, sir?
And Mal turns again, says, who made you such a fucking bitch? Pricks like you, says Bernie, and she tells him that the next time he pulls a stunt like this, she's calling the cops. We also get a brief scene in Nina's Rolls where Tracy is looking for Mal's details for a rewiring job at number 1, but Bernie does her best to put her off, telling Roy that Mal gives her a bad feeling.
And Roy should know this because he had to kick Mal out.
Not yet.
Why did I think that had already happened at this
No
point?
idea.
I thought it happened last week. Didn't he kick him out last week?
No, that happens in what I'm about to talk about.
What is wrong with my
I
brain?
have no idea. But he also knows from having been punched in the face by him
Right, yes.
that Mal's, let's just say, a character.
Yes. But also, let's not forget that Roy feels guilty because he was writing letters to Mal's invisible wife, Alice.
Who doesn't exist. I'm almost certain of it. On Wednesday, Bernie's armed with a golf club when she opens the door to Kit. On Wednesday morning, he's had enough of this and demands to know what's wrong, and he's been trained in interrogation tactics. So he waterboards her, and she explains everything, finishing with her suspicion that he broke into the house and tore her face from the photo. Kit wants to know where he can find this Mal.
Or carefully cut her face out of the photo, which
Yeah.
is creepier.
But Bernie is wisely reluctant not to tell him, promising that she can handle it. He backs off, but wants her to report the break-in at least. So later, in Nina's Rolls, Mal bursts in and starts shouting abuse, telling everyone who cares to listen about the night in the hotel and the drugs and how Bernie is a fucking skank. Roy's heard enough of this and throws Mal out immediately. This, however, gets back to Kit, who again visits Bernie wanting to know where he can find Mal, telling her that she has to do something, and she's decided to tell Dev everything. Speak of the devil, back comes Dev from his hollybobs, very keen for some amour with his lady wife.
Yes.
Kit makes his excuses and hurriedly leaves.
As does Asha, which is so cute. These siblings by marriage, both being so grossed out and exiting stage left.
Bernie comes clean about Mal and the kiss in the photo, and after he stops laughing, Dev is 150% Dev about this. How could things get this far? He says he always thought that when she fucked up, she did it from a good place, but now he's not so sure, and he walks out. It's night time, and Mal is hanging around like a bad smell, and he coughs aggressively when Bernie's walking by, and then mocks her grief for Paul and Billy, and this pushes Bernie's buttons no end, and she tells him if he doesn't back off, she's going to fucking kill him. Not a wise thing to say in public.
No.
Especially not when we've had a flash forward episode. Flash forward. Mal refuses to back off and says you'll see her tomorrow.
Not if I see you first. With a gun!
So on Thursday, Bernie's still in the cunt books with Dev, but it's unclear exactly what his problem is, so Bernie forces it out of him. It's not exactly the betrayal that hurts, it's a drip feeding of lies that Dev has chosen to be upset about. Bernie reckons that they can get through it. Dev, though, isn't so sure. So taking his hint, Bernie goes to pack, which is Dev's cue to accuse her of overreacting and running away. She says she's going to work, but reckons after that it might be better if they have some space for a bit. Meanwhile, at the cop shop, Swain gives Kit a case to work on. It's an assault case. A man wearing an I Heart Inverness t-shirt took a bop on the noggin. Kit looks shifty as fuck. At the hospital, Kit speaks to a great wee ICU nurse. Whoever you are, ICU nurse, you did a great job.
Yeah.
And learns that Mr. Mal Roper suffered a heart attack and fell, or the other way round. Either way, he's in a critical condition.
I'm surprised she didn't use Mal's full name. She says Mal Roper instead of Malcolm. Is it Malcolm, maybe?
When Bernie tried to call him Malcolm last week, he snapped, "It's Mal," like he was christened Mal, like your Uncle Jimmy.
Yeah, but Jimmy's an actual name. Mal just means bad in Spanish.
Dev shows up in Enid's Rolls to complain to Bernie how much he was hurt, but how much he loves her, for better or for taking drugs and winching a random in the rape hotel, and he's not ready to walk away from this yet. Now, what's a guy got to do to get a hug around here? And so they make up until the next time Bernie pulls a stunt like this. No more secrets, says Dev. On the street, Kit conveniently bumps into Swain, who tells him that DC Browning has got his teeth into the assault case and seems to have a lead that's going to blow the whole case wide open. Sure enough, DC Browning and his non-talkative partner land in on Nina's Rolls, and much to Dev's animated protests, they arrest Bernie on the suspicion of assaulting Justin Stawkins. Mal.
Roper.
On Friday,
Mr. Roper.
Benny's had a night in the cells. Kit comes in to check on her and suspiciously asks if she has an alibi. Of course I don't, she says. But then she seems to think that this makes her look guilty, so she protests her innocence to him. He seems to already know that she's innocent, but this would be easier if she had an alibi, and he promises to fix it. Swain's job this week is to give Kit bad news, and she turns up to do that when she tells him that Browning is not going to let this Bernie thing go, and he knows about her previous run-ins with the law now. In the interview room, Bernie is no commenting everything, but then eventually has to admit that she met Mal in the rape hotel. She went to his room, but not like that. Since then, he's been harassing her. This is beginning to sound like a motive to DC Browning, and he has witnesses to the altercation where Benny threatened to kill Mal, and asks where she went afterwards. She went to Dev's to get some booze, and the shop was closed, so no one saw her. Meanwhile, Kit has confessed
And you would think at that point, she would say, check the CCTV outside the shop. Because she knows that there's CCTV outside the shop.
And it's the inside the shop CCTV that picks her up.
Right. Yeah. You'd think at that point, that's when she would say something like that, because she's a smart woman. But no.
Meanwhile, Kit has confessed to Sarah, but explains that he just gave Mal a bit of a shove and told him to back off, and didn't know that he was going to have a heart attack, which, let's face it, he must have had in the post anyway. Right. Sarah is shocked when it sounds like Kit is prepared to sit this one out and let Bernie get charged for something that she didn't do. So Kit says the police don't charge people without evidence, and this is a joke that lightens the mood for everyone, thank God. So Kit goes to the station to speak to Browning, but just as he's about to confess, Bernie is released. There was shop CCTV, and that's cleared her. Now, what was it you were going to say? Kit says that he was just going to mention the CCTV. Back home, though, and Bernie's suspicious because Kit didn't know that she went to the shop. He distracts her with some balloon animals and then makes a break for it. Back at the station, Swain has finally been cleared to return to duty, and she can't wait to get back to what she does best, and no one is exactly sure what she means by that.
Yeah.
In the meantime, she puts Kit back on the assault case now that his mum isn't prime suspect, and he seems very agitated about this, and that is how we end this week's episodes.
You'd think he would be less agitated about this, because he's like, whew, I can't convict myself.
He can do the shoddiest job in the world.
Right.
And
well, I guess we can't find him.
Frame that homeless guy that apparently twatted Daniel.
Right. Or find another homeless guy who, just needs a hot in a cot.
Yeah.
Or, just say, oh, we have found evidence that he tripped over this cobble that was loose and fell and
Or
then
he-
had a heart attack.
Or he did it himself.
Yeah, it's completely accidental. Woof.
I'm glad this all resolved. I'm not too sure how I feel about Kit going back to old Kit. Because this is an old Kit move, isn't it?
Well, it's Kit defending his family. And he's all about defending his family.
Yeah, but assaulting people.
Well, just give him a wee shove.
So he says. I mean, the guy's critically ill.
Right, yes, but that he didn't give him a heart attack. He just gave him a shove.
Well, the nurse doesn't know which the order of events here.
Right, yes. But Kit does.
And there was evidence of some kind of struggle, she says.
Because, you wouldn't necessarily know somebody's having a heart attack when you push them over.
Regardless, I feel that Kit going down this path is a bit of a regression to a previous Kit that he hasn't really been for a while. And I'm glad that he got away with it, because Mal is just such a wrong un. He's played very, very well. I think you definitely get the air of someone who could snap at any moment. And the guy's so on edge and highly
Right.
strung. He does these silly wee voices for no reason.
Right, yes. Because he's crazy.
So I'm not against the outcome, but
No one's called Mal's wife Alice
no.
to let her know that he's in the hospital with a heart attack. There's no family there. No mention of family.
It's
You'd
almost
think the nurse would say to Kit, "We have contacted his family and they should be here if you want to speak to them." Because you'd think the cops would want to speak to them and to see if, he had any enemies or anything.
Who would track down the family? That feels like more than you could reasonably expect from the NHS.
Well, if he's got identification and he's been to the doctor before, I'm sure he's in the system. He's got his NHS number, right? That's a thing.
You don't tend to walk about your NHS number on you.
No, but I'm sure that it's in the computer. I'm sure there's a database of everyone in the UK and their NHS number. Otherwise, how would you know what to charge the NHS for treating people? Or if they're going to have to, go concierge.
I'm not sure what we're talking about anymore.
No, me neither. But still, typically hospitals try to find next of kin when somebody's been in hospital.
I think maybe it would be as likely, at least, that they would ask the police to help in that.
Right. And she doesn't say anything to Kit about finding family or if he has family.
So either Alice really doesn't exist or Alice is an unnecessary complication in the story.
Right. Which is weird considering it all started with Alice. Mm-hmm. But we seem to have forgotten that
So it
very
feels
conveniently.
more then that she just doesn't exist. I'm glad we got it all squared off and sorted anyway.
Yeah.
Kit seems to be carrying this guilt about it
Yeah.
towards the end of the episode.
Yeah.
Which,
But it kind of feels like his guilt is more about the fact that his mom had to spend the night in jail for something that he did than
Or is it
anything. I
that
don't think he feels guilty for putting Mal in the hospital,
or is it that he came really close to
killing him.
admitting something that was going to make him lose his job potentially?
Right. And also possibly get charged.
Yeah, quite possibly.
Although he could always claim self-defense. Find a gun and plant fingerprints on it. He had
Do
a
we
gun.
have Johnny's gun?
He had a gun.
It
with
floated
self-defense.
by. An awful lot happened here. And at the end of the day, what's happened is Mal's in the hospital and Dev knows, so that's all been resolved.
Yes.
There's no secrets that are lingering anymore.
Right. He has no way to blackmail her.
So it feels like a kind of resolution of sorts, doesn't it? This whole thing has now been resolved. What's lingering? Whoever put Mal in hospital, and the only person that is supposed to care about it is the person who did it. So feels like we're probably done then.
That doesn't feel like a
And I'm
satisfying...
glad that Bernie and Dev are
fine.
are finally... But
Yeah.
they've already
Yeah.
had this
Can we
conversation
just-
like 3 or 4 times
Can we
since
just
they got
draw?
married.
Can we just draw a line under it now and let them just be a happy couple, please?
That was the week there was Coronation Street then. Helen, what was your moment of the week?
Is it the dead Mrs. Ripley?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That whole scene was great.
George's soliloquy to the dead Mrs. Ripley. That was funny.
She would rather die than find out how that soliloquy ended. And I can't say I blame her. That's our
Moment of the week.
Moment of the week.
boring moment of the week.
Brian claiming that his copy of The Woman in White was an early edition.
Boring moment of the week.
Do better. Your country has fabulous libraries. I'm sure you could have found an actual early edition to put in Brian's hands. Do better.
Do you know why they don't?
Liability?
Nobody cares.
I care.
Yay!
Time for a yay minutes as we ask our Twitter followers what they thought about the offerings from Coronation Street this week. And they respond with yay, meh, or zzz, and the scores this week are zzz, 35.5%,
Yeah, that's higher than I expected.
meh, 40.3%, and yay, 24.2%.
What? I thought this was a much better week. I'm really shocked by those numbers.
It was better than last week. Definitely
Yeah.
better than last week.
So much better than last week.
Aussie Ali says the 99% have spoken.
Have
Yes, we
they?
Penelope Pitstop says, help! And then says, well done for doing these polls. But if only the scriptwriters read the results too, they'd see what the overwhelming majority is, that the episode was zzz. What do they care?
It's just whoever's left on Twitter, though.
They still give us the same miserable rubbish. No one laughs in Corrie. We got some laughs this week, Penelope.
We did.
Chris writes, enjoyed this week. Against my better judgment, I like Kit, especially when he takes matters into his own hands. Don't understand why Jodie cut Bernie's face off, though. Yeah. That's just that antagonistic thing, isn't it?
I think so.
Just
It is creepy.
planting discontent.
Just
And Laws writes,
so she has a head in a box.
I like the Rita scenes and the George stuff and nothing else. Thank you very much to Laws, Chris, Penelope Pitstop and Aussie Ali for their thoughts this week, and to everyone who voted for the scores. We don't take those into account when we're given our own scores, of course, Helen. That would be just madness.
It would.
Helen, what score are you giving the show out of 10 this week?
I'm going to give it a 6. I was quite pleased with it. There was no Theo. That made me happy. There was no Megan. That made me happy. And what storylines we got, it wasn't really all that obnoxious. And I laughed quite a bit at the George stuff. And also Brian calling Ken a communist.
Yeah, I'd give it 6 as well. The bits that I disliked about it last week were watching the scenes with Megan were just really, really tough to watch.
Yeah, and uncomfortable.
And I confess, I skimmed through them a bit
Yeah.
and then found out how that whole thing ended and then went back and watched it again because it was really, really
Terrible.
turning make my skin crawl.
Absolutely.
And the same with the Theo stuff. And this, oh God, I don't watch this to be made to feel uncomfortable and awkward. And it was just giving me all those vibes. I didn't get any of that this week. I thought an awful lot of it was funny. I really liked Sean's line that just came out of nowhere. And
Right. And he's only in it for like 5 minutes for the whole week.
Again, I only spotted that on the second watch of the episode. So I imagine there are people who have no idea what we're talking about. Yeah, I think 6 is fair. All right, let's wrap this one up then. This episode was brought to you with thanks to our friends of the podcast. Daisy, French Helen, Pickles, DT, Wendy, Noel, Canadian Helen, Christy, Shandy, English Victoria, Aurora Yvonne, Heather Westerfield, Russell Whiting, Brittany Porter, Laurie Anna, Tina, Leah, Tara J, Fiona B, Canadian Jennifer, Josephine Otingi, Anne Greenwood, Trish R, Sarah Purbrick, Ali Q, Honker Monker, Darren, the artist formerly known as Seal My Fridge, Pamela, Marge JT, Tom Ambrose, Christopher Anstey, Terry in LA, Joe T, Corey Dales, Matthew McInerney, Welsh Emma, Matthew S, Rachel B, Uranium Jennifer, Catherine Montiero, Gary Heatley, Pam but not that one, Una, Amy, Jenny Roll, Aussie Ali,
Oi.
Chris Horrocks and Cameron from Edmonton. Thank you ever so much, folks. We very much appreciate your support. If you've ever made counting to 3 Mississippi sound threatening, write in to tell us about it. We're the Talk of the Street at gmail.com, and we're at Corrie Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Threads and Blue Sky, or you can reach us the old-fashioned way, the Talk of the Street, PO Box 12, Eaton Rapids, Michigan, 48827. Our spoiler show will be available shortly after this one, and in this month's classics, we're talking about episode 2284.
Emily up a tree.
No, that's still...
Oh, that's still...
Deirdre...
2 days
Deirdre and
away.
Ken stuff, but we're getting close to Emily Upper Tree. Get access to this exclusive content by becoming a friend of the podcast. Find all the links at corriepodcast.com, and be sure to check out our pop culture sister podcast, The List of Lists.
Don't you dare close your eyes.
Thanks for making it to the end of another episode. We'll be back next week with more
I'll Talk of the Street.
Talk of the Street.
Bye.
Cheerio.